Yes, sir. You know what time it is. Welcome to the Second Chance Live. We are back for, I want to say this is the third time today. And this guest is rescheduled from last week. And I'm so excited, man, because it's a brother that's in the industry. So we get to geek out on athlete transition and identity like some of my other guests aren't able to because they don't live in this world. But Jonathan lives in this world. I'm going to read his bio to you, and then I'm going to encourage you to share with others. But I want to read his bio first so that you know what you're sharing, who you're sharing, and why you're sharing. So Jonathan Orr is a former American football wide receiver who played for the NFL's Oakland Raiders and Tennessee Titans. He was drafted in the 6th round, pick 172 of the 2006 NFL draft by the Titans. He played college football at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We forgive him for that. He is also executive director at Athlete Transition Services Corporation, college where they help college and professional athletes who often struggle with moving on from sports and into the next phase of their lives. Why I'm excited to talk to him. For athletes, this life transition is often accomplished by uncertainty, anxiety, and confusion, which you know if you've been watching our streams. Athlete Transition Services specializes in assisting college and professional athletes with their transition through their next season workshops and life coaching services. In addition to their direct transition services, they also provide a variety of workshops that help to facilitate the overall growth and development of athletes during any stage in their career. So that's the official bio. From what I've studied and from the short time that I've known Jonathan, I can tell you that he's a man of humility. He's a man of wisdom. He's a man of generosity. I love that although an athlete and is a competitor, he gets kingdom, he gets abundance, and he gets that the athlete transition market is underserved. And I love that he's been open to sharing his platform and his lessons that he's learned, and he's agreed to, promote what we've got going on because he that's just the type of dude he is. And so, Jonathan, I appreciate you coming on today. We're going to talk about transition. We're going to talk about his time in the league. We're going to talk about his success as a company and the things that how you can connect with him and the things that they got going on. He also has a book that's out that I told him I still have to read. But it's I could tell it's great. I read the chapter outlines. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a good book. It's called Game's Over, Life's Not, right?
Yep, Game's Over, Life's Not.
Yeah, see, I ain't lying. Catch me lying. I want to encourage you right now, before I hand over the mic to him, to just host a watch party. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on another platform, we ask you to share with people that you like, you love, and you care about, because we're going to have a great time and a great conversation today. This is going to bless you. If you have any questions throughout this time, drop them in the chat. We'll make sure to collect those, and we'll be able to answer your questions should we have time to at the end. So without further ado, tell them a little bit more about yourself. And I have to tell you this, that I started this new thing, so I was getting bored, that if you say something that I can steal for my own public speaking, you get the bill.
I like that.
So go ahead.
I don't mind at all. I'm going to share it on Facebook now too. That's okay.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I just go to Second Chance Athletes, right? Oh, I see it. Okay, so now
see your face. You live.
Yep. So now what I just search.
Yeah.
Just share it.
Yeah, you can hit the share right there. Boom.
Okay. All right. Oh, let me turn the volume down. All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Man, absolute pleasure to be here. Daryl, thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure, man.
As a guest. Man, you talked about my athletic background. I think one of the things that is important to share that kind of, I guess, helps to frame sort of how I got into this work. So I'm from Detroit, born and raised, and about the age of 8 or 9 is when I made up my mind that I was going to play in the NFL and I was going to have a long career. And so my whole life was pretty much focused on accomplishing that goal. And so, I mean, you athletes know the attention to detail, the focus, the blood, the sweat, the tears, everything that goes into sort of pursuing this life's goal of being the best athlete you can be. And so once it was over, sort of prematurely, again, I was planning on a 20-year career, but so once it was over after a couple of years, I struggled because, again, so much of my life revolved around this one this one aspect of my being. So.
Yeah, man. And what would you say, before we get into some of the transition practices and that part of your journey, what would you say is, some of your favorite moments about being an athlete?
Man, some of my favorite moments, competing, right? Just being able to
Mhm.
have a goal, be it an individual goal, a team goal, an off-season goal, just that habit of setting goals and then pushing yourself to accomplish them. And that's something I appreciated about my time as an athlete. The relationships, still got relationships with. I ran into a buddy yesterday that I played football with when I was 9 years old, and just always having that connection, right? Of
Right.
sort of being in battle, especially with teammates, with individuals, and you guys always have this bond. And so that's something. The platform that it allows you. I think early on in college, I realized, like, man, it's cool to play football and to have fans for the Wisconsin Badgers, but I would like to be able to use this platform that I have, however big or small it is, to have a greater impact outside of sports. So those are some of the things that I really enjoyed about being an athlete.
Yeah. And so you mentioned when you transitioned out of the league that, you struggled a little bit. I'd love for you to share what were some of those initial struggles that were challenging for you?
Yeah, man. The big one, you kind of touched on it earlier. Identity was sort of the huge one, because so many other problems stem from that, right? Like, if you don't know who you are, if you don't have a good sense of who you are as a person, and what the core of your identity is, right? Then it's going to be hard to figure out what you're supposed to be doing in life, right?
Hmm.
Like knowing who you are and being secure in who you are as a human being, and understanding the foundation of your identity, that's really the springboard for figuring out some other things. And that wasn't the case for me, right? So much of my identity was wrapped up in being a football player that, truthfully, I didn't even realize it as I was playing, right? I thought I just really never gave it thought. And it's one of those things where, until you get in that space, it's going to be hard to realize, unless you are intentional about assessing these type of things. It's going to be hard to realize whether or not you sort of have identity struggles, with being an athlete. So that was a big one. And then that led to figuring, not knowing what else I want to do in life as far as a career, not knowing sort of what path to go down, feeling like I was sort of stuck, man, and don't even get in. And I won't even get into the sort of the regrets of it ending, not the way I had planned for it to end, and all of that baggage that comes with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, man. And I know for, me being from Michigan and and I don't even think it's where you from. It's more so how you're raised. And when you are determined from a young age as a minority to reach that level of success in sports, there's a financial piece that comes with it. And I'm curious, sometimes for me it was like this pressure to put my family in a whole different financial landscape. Like I was going to be the hero from the community. Is that something that you was one of your goals as well, to be able to just, put your family on the map, or what was your upbringing like?
Man, very good question. Yeah, that was definitely part of my plan, right? Like, you want to buy mom the car, you want to get your parents the house, you want to help out your brothers, the fellas that you came up with, right? Your
Hmm.
friends and things of that nature. So that was definitely on my mind, and things that I wanted to accomplish. And even dealing with that, right? Like, those unfulfilled expectations. I wouldn't even say like that people put them on me. It was more so expectations that I put on myself. Like, my parents never said buy me a house or anything like that. But
Right.
again, as a young kid growing up in the city, this is something that I wanted to do for my parents. And so my career ending before I had the opportunity to do those things, that led to, guilt and feeling like I let, my parents down and things of that nature. So.
Yeah, man. And I'm curious, like, because I know with the NFL, there, is the NFLPA, and how was that? How was their support of you? Were you able to utilize some of those resources? And what caused you to want to start your own transition company?
Man, very, very good question. So honestly, I've been out of the NFL now 12 years. And about the last 5 or so have I been sort of in interaction with the NFLPA and things like that. Part of it, again, because it ended, and then it's kind of like, man, I don't want to have nothing to do with the NFL, right? And so, so that was a part of it for some years. Like, I don't want, I'm not reaching out to them, and I wasn't even aware of the services that they had, right? Like that they had for former players, unless it involved opportunities to still make money, right, with the NFL. But as far as reaching out, getting support and things like that, it's something I wish I would have done looking back on it, but something that I did not do. And so what led to me starting Athlete Transition Services. So like I mentioned earlier, once I was done playing football for about 2 years, like I struggled significantly. I struggled financially. I struggled personally, like I said, with identity, emotionally. And thank God, man, through my awesome wife and a great support system, had a great church family down in Nashville, and even sought therapy to help during that time. And I was able to start progressing just personally and professionally. And then I noticed that a lot of former teammates, a lot of people that I knew from college, professionally, men and women, right? Even just athletes I knew who were now done playing, a lot were having similar struggles. And I started informally kind of coaching them through that process based on what I had been through. And then I developed sort of this passion for helping athletes in this particular area of life, right? And so like I had thought about coaching and things like that, but it just wasn't for me. And so I'm like, man, just because we're done playing our sport doesn't mean that life is over. Like why are we struggling like this? And so that led to me. Eventually, I went to grad school, and then in grad school, the idea came to start something. I knew I wanted to start something where we could help to prepare athletes for life after sports and do it on a greater scale, hopefully, than just what I was doing with my friends. And so eventually that led to the start of ATS.
Yeah. And talk about, some of the early days, and when did you launch a company, and what was some of your learning points and challenges, even because I know sometimes people can relate more to our struggles and our successes. I'd love for you to share a little bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh man, it's a lot of bad and ugly. But thank God it's some good too. So started in January of 2014. And I spent about a year developing one program. It was called the Next Season program. It was a workshop specific. So I did all this research. I studied the area of just life transitions and all this. And I put together, and I did a survey where I interviewed hundreds of athletes. And I didn't just want to, I didn't want to be a motivational speaker. And there's nothing wrong with motivational speakers, but I wanted to have a comprehensive program that people could participate in, man, and it could really help to prepare for life after sports. So I developed this program, started Athlete Transition Services January 2014. I reached out to every coach I knew, every person I knew that was in athletics, and for some reason in my mind, I anticipated our program taking off more on a professional level. Just that's what I had in mind. But after 8 months, so from January of 2014 all the way to August of 2014, like I'm calling people every day. I just heard no, we don't need it. We got something like this. No, we don't need it. So it was frustrating, but again, I felt like this is something that an assignment that God had for me to do, man. And so just kept pushing. And then eventually, Daryl, I'm at a barbecue. My guy, Alex, we were college teammates and roommates. We stayed like 15 minutes from each other. He's having a barbecue at his house. We're hanging out. He's like, man, let me introduce you to some of my family. It's a lady there named Kyra. He's like, yeah, she works at Clemson University. I'm like, oh, okay, what you do at Clemson? She's like, I work in athletics. I'm like, what department? I work in student athlete development. I'm like, so do you have 5 minutes? Like, I developed this program. I'm trying to show people for 8 months. Do you have 5 minutes? She said, yeah, I got 5 minutes. And I just shared with her. Somebody let me borrow a computer, and I just pulled it up from my email and showed her. And she was like, man, we could use this. We'll give you a shot, man. And finally, Clemson gave us our first shot. And just been growing since then, man, by the grace of God. And now we service over 40 universities, and we work with the WWE and Minnesota Vikings and NFL Trust. And so it's been a grind. It has not been easy. It's been ebbs and flows. Even now with COVID, right? Like college athletic budgets are severely hit. And so when that happens, the resources for programs like ours, those extra things, that stuff gets cut. So thinking about how can we still stay faithful to our mission of making sure athletes are getting the programs and services that they need, but yet still run a business. So balancing all of those and just looking for alternative ways to supplement funding that we would normally get from colleges and things like that. And we are a 501c3. So that's one of the things we've really been focusing on these last few months is corporate sponsorships and donors and things like that. So,
yeah. Yep. Same here.
I saw you nodding. You already know.
I know, man.
Yeah.
And but the irony in it though is there's never been a time like now for the services that we provide. Yeah. I mean, I said this, I said never in the history of sports has entire conferences been shut down because of public health concern. Man, it's crazy. And so the need, and that's one of the reasons why we chose to, I say we chose, why they talked me into launching my book this year rather than next, because I was not going to publish that thing until that thing was peachy perfect. And they were like, look, it's not about you. It's about who the resource can help.
Yeah.
And they need it now. And not only athletes, but everyone in transition. And so I'd be curious. It's a couple of things I want to ask you, man. This is going to be hard to make short because I could talk about transition all day, but want to hear some success stories. What are some of your favorite stories in terms of the impact that you've been able to make either individually or as an organization?
Yeah, man. Very, very good question. One that comes to mind, last year, about a year ago, I was at Old Dominion University. And this, what I do, like normally when I go to university, we do the main session with large group of athletes, but I also set up time in most cases to do one-on-one consultations with athletes and things like that. So this young lady comes into my office and she's like so frustrated, right? Like almost to the point of tears because she thought she was going to major in something and because her parents wanted her to major in it and it didn't work out. And then she thought she was going to major in something else. And then I think it was time for her to declare a major and she hadn't done it yet. And she was completely clueless. Right. And so we sat down and we talked. I took her through this process that we do this one of our exercises to help her understand. She never really took the time to figure out what else she was good at. Right. Like that's one of the things that's so important for athletes. Again, we're so focused a lot of the time on running, catching, jumping, hitting, whatever sport you play, that we neglect that God has given us other gifts, other talents. And so just unpacking that, helping her realize, like, you know what, you're good at this, right? Like these are other gifts and talents you have. And then helping her realize what else she cares about, like deeply is passionate about. And so we talked about these things, went through this process, and then the light came on, Daryl. And she was like, man, you know, when I look at what I'm good at, what God has, blessed me, areas He's given me gifts and talents in, when I look at what I really care about, it makes sense for me to pursue a career in this. And it was just like the light came on, and she left out just a different person, man. And so that's man, that's probably one of the things I like the most about my job. Just seeing lights come on when you working with a football player, and all they know is football. They've been playing since they been 4 or 5 years old, and now it's coming to an end, and they're just confused and just having a panic attack, and then to help them process this transition that's coming up and helping them figure out what I said this recently, man. If I could, we have a mission statement, right? Our mission is to help prepare athletes for life after sports. But if we had like another one, man, is just helping people figure out their purpose in life. Like what assignment did God create you to do outside of your sport, helping you figure out that, and helping you figure out who you are apart from your sport. So so I got long-winded there. So
no, man, no, I'm with you. Hey, man, I told you this is it, man. This is my subject, so I love talking about it, and it's refreshing to me. I've been talking to people about stuff that I don't know nothing about. Now I know a little bit of something about this, man. I get asked. I'm gonna ask you some of the questions I get asked all the time, and I'd be curious to see what your experience is. So, what would you say the differences are in working with high school versus college versus pro? I know you kind of stay in the college and pro area, but what would you say is the difference between working with the different level of athletes?
Yeah, man. So and so we do actually we got to update our website. I know you probably got to mention that information off our website, but we do work with high school athletes as well. The biggest differences, man, I would say professional athletes, they, it's stuff isn't forced there, right? So if they're attending a session, unless it's like a rookie mandatory thing, but if they're attending sessions, it's because they want to, right? It's it's no, they know it's no manipulation. Like they're making good money. So it's an easier, I wouldn't say sale, but they grasp the message because, again, for some reason they're at this point in their life and they're open to it, right? And so so that's one. College and high school, I feel like high school especially, you have to build credibility more because again, they're at that age where it's kind of like, who are you, right? Like you my daddy's age, like I don't got no reason to listen to you. So it's important to just build credibility and as best you can, whether it's, it helps, like in our case, being former athletes, right? Like the fact that we had, experience and we, we're not just coming in from a different field talking to them about something. And so those are some of the differences that come to mind.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I would say like working with pros, it's a lot easier than high school and college, man. And I think some of it is because, when you are at those levels, like high school and college, you're thinking about the next level. But when you're in the pros, your mind starts to think about what's next. So it's a little bit easier of a transition because you're not trying to fast track somebody 2 phases or 1 phase, because they recognize that, look, even if I play 20 years, which, a lot of athletes don't, but even if I did, I gotta figure something out. So I would definitely agree with what you're saying. The other thing is, I often get roped into these conversations about other industries and transition. So military being one that I almost can't even talk about athlete transition without military transition coming up. I'm wondering, have you gotten some of that as well? Have you guys done any work with veterans and helping transition? Have you branched out of the sports industry?
No, I haven't personally. Our organization just deals with athletes. However, I have talked to quite a few people who are in that space. And you're right, there's a lot of similarities. Actually, one of my college teammates, Jake Wood, he's the co-founder of Team Rubicon, which is a nonprofit that that essentially provides former military personnel with the opportunity to still engage, to still have a community, to still they do disaster relief efforts, right? So if something's going on in the country, they mobilize these former military individuals, and they still get to use the skills that they've acquired, and they still get to do some awesome work, right? Some high stakes work. And so I've had conversations with him, and we've been able to identify some similarities and things like that. But no, I have not yet worked with military personnel in transitioning.
Gotcha. Man, I'd love for you to share some of those transferable skills that we always hear talked about in terms of skills that help you be successful as an athlete that have now applied to your life beyond the game.
Ooh, good question. Good question, Daryl. Man, you asking the right questions, man. I think one of the transferable skills, I like to call them superpowers, man. Like, you know how every superhero has a superpower, just about. And so, you know, Superman flies and he's strong, and Spider-Man shoots the thing out of his thing. He's strong. And so one of the things that we help athletes realize is, like, you have a superpower too, because a lot of athletes, they feel as though, especially ones who have competed on high levels, such as in college or professionally, they feel as though they don't have the experience to compete in the job market, right? They feel like, you know, I didn't get a chance because of the demands of my schedule. I didn't get a chance to go and have internships, right, and have these experiences that my peers had that weren't student athletes. And so one of the things that we help them understand is that, yeah, you might not have all those experiences, but you do have something that's so valuable, just as valuable, if not more. And it's these things called transferable skills, like the things you've acquired. For example, you asked me to name some. One, time management, right? Like, I remember at one point in college, I was waking up at 4:45 a.m. and I wasn't getting home until 10 p.m., right? Like my freshman year. Weightlifting, practice, meetings, class, right? Study table, all of this stuff. And so being able to manage your time is a huge one. Like, so many people don't have that skill. Another one, being able to work well under pressure, right? Like a lot of people fall apart, you know, in high pressure situations, you know, at work. And so for you to come into an organization and be able to deal with the you know, all the demands that your boss is requiring of you, to meet deadlines, all of that stuff, man, and perform at a high level under pressure, like, that's huge. Another one, just working in a team, right? Like if you were, even, you know, if you competed in an individual sport, you know, there was still people. You still have, you know, folks that you worked out with and coaches and things like that. So being able to work with the team, which leads to just being accountable, right? Communication skills, all of this, leadership, man. It's so many experiences that you gain as a student athlete, as a professional athlete, that carry over and will serve you well into your next phase of life. And so it's important to be aware of it, right? And then know how to articulate it, so that it can help lead to opportunities. So that's, I mean, you're spot on there, man. It's very important to be aware of those transferable skills. Yeah.
I love it, man. I'd love for you to talk about what you got going now and how can we best support the work that you're doing.
Yeah, man. So we're at an interesting time, as we mentioned earlier, but nonetheless, even though some things, COVID has kind of, and the pandemic has kind of shut some things down, man, it's created opportunities to really plan for the future. And so there were some things that we were planning on doing in a couple years down the line, but just by virtue of where we are, we had to sort of implement these things now. And I'm excited about it. So all of our programming, we converted to virtual programming over the last, really, we were working on that since March. And so that's one thing. This year, two new things that we've, one new thing that we implemented. The other one we've been kind of doing before, but now we've taken it to the next level. So in addition to our educational workshops and seminars, we also provide mental health services and coaching services. So we've compiled a team of therapists from around the country, different regions. We have a team of career coaches, life coaches that can now work with athletes individually and or their families to help them with transition and just life in general. And then the last thing that's brand new that we started doing within the last few months is sorry, my watch is talking to me, is professional development for coaches, administrators, and staff. And so the thought behind that is if we can better serve the coaches, right, and the folks who have the greatest influence on the athletes, then it'll trickle down, right, and they'll be more equipped to better serve their athletes and make sure that they aren't only developing them as athletes, but holistically. And so the second part of your question is, how can people get involved? So again, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and so we are in need and looking for partnerships. We don't want to just work with any corporation or partner with any corporation. To be quite honest, we've been contacted by quite a few businesses and companies, but it just wasn't a good fit. But so we're looking to partner with the right corporations to sponsor this work, to build a partnership, to provide you guys with opportunities to have access to these great potential clients, right, for your organization, not clients, but employees, for internship purposes, for employment purposes. And so building a pipeline between the athletes we serve and corporations is one of the benefits. So private donors as well. If you believe in the work that we're doing and you would like to support it, it's always an opportunity to do that at our website, atscorp.org.
Sounds good, man. I would love for people to just head over to your website, support. If you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, you hear us how they're good ground, good soil. Their work speaks for itself. And I just appreciate you coming on today, sharing more about your journey. I want people to go support you at atscorp.org. The link is there on the screen, and our team will drop it in the chat for you. Please make sure you share this information so that we can continue to spread the message of transition around the world. Jonathan, I just want to thank you for your time today, man, and looking forward to just connecting with you and doing some cool things together.
So am I, Daryl. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. Take it easy.
All right, you too.
Yeah, bye-bye.